interested. You have a long history with Hohan Soken, and you have some things that you can clear up, some questions for the world that I'm in now of Kyusho. And with that, I'd like to start talking about, I guess, the notes. Those notes.
Well, ask your questions, and I'll try to answer as best I can.
Okay. Well, first of all, are the notes from Hohan Soken?
And what notes are you referring to?
Okay, the ones presented as such from George Dillman.
Are you talking about the charts?
He had the charts, and there are some notes also that depicts not the TCM model of acupuncture or acupressure, but the actual medical descriptions of what could occur when a certain target was applied.
Yes. Okay. On the charts is about a 7-page group of charts that was given out to us when we reach Yondan or higher ranks. And this is during my time on Okinawa, 1960 to 1964. And we were not given these charts until we reached the level of 4th Dan or higher. Now, the charts have 2 pages of body location points, which are vague, to say the best, because the spots are not exactly where they should be. And it takes research to understand the actual locations, or it takes some guidance from the teachers. Now, one chart is the frontal section of the body, and the second chart is the rear section or the back section of the body. And then there's 3, 4, maybe 5 pages of explanations. One of them is how to deliver the strike, what type of strikes to use. The other one that complements that one is what happens when this area is struck. Now, most of these areas are the sizes of dimes or nickels. They're not the size of an orange or something like that. So you have roughly 4 to 5 pages of explanation as to this is what it causes. An example would be cuts off motor function of the arm or the leg. In other words, you're attacking a nerve center that stops the actual function of the arm, using the arm or using the leg. And then the other one gets into a more detailed description, and a lot of the stuff is in Japanese. So you really, during my time on Okinawa, I learned to speak a combination of Hogan and Japanese, and I could only speak enough to go places, order things, get things, general conversation during the day, etc., etc. What I did not learn, which I would say 98% of the people that were on Okinawa did not learn, is to say, this is the word for liver. Striking this point, you're attacking the liver or the heart or the lung or whatever like that. Sensei's method of teaching at the time, Sensei Fusei Kise, his method at the time, because he also spoke broken English, was that he would hit you or jab you or point out these spots on the body and then tell you what would happen as best he could. And that's the basic explanation of the charts. Now, as far as George Dillman getting the charts were given, which he called scrolls, I believe. He was given the charts or the scrolls by Ray Gunther, who was also a short-time student under Fusei Kise on Okinawa. All right. Soken did not authorize the giving of these charts to Dillman, and nor did Fusei Kise. So that is how he got the charts, because Ray Gunther wanted to befriend him and so forth, and said, I've got these charts and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Ray Gunther is now passed, He passed away, I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe now, something
Right.
like that. Okay.
So the notes weren't given to Mr. Dillman as claimed by Hohan Soken himself.
That's correct. But Soken never gave Dillman any charts or any scrolls, as Dillman likes to put it. Dillman has the tendency to stretch the truth whenever it is in favor of him. He's a major con artist. It's that simple.
Well, now he's since retired and has designated some heirs, I guess. So I guess he's not going to be that much of a problem anymore. The mission, I guess, is to clear up, first of all, some of the stories that were told in the past and to clarify exactly what Kyusho is. Now, I'm under the impression that you don't even use the word Kyusho. Is that correct?
No, I don't. You know, when I was on Okinawa, because let's say 90% out of the 6 or 7 students that attended Fusei Kise's old Koza dojo, which was one half his house, one half his dojo, they were all Okinawan. So everybody spoke Japanese or Okinawan. Us Americans, when we started to build and more Americans started to attend, we had to stumble through the conversation or the training as best we could. As an example, once again, when we were doing, let's say, an example of straight blocks. If you were doing a straight block and you did it wrong, Kise came over to you, hit you in the stomach or kicked you, and then repositioned your hand to the proper location, proper height, proper width, whatever. That way, anytime he started to get near you, you started self-correcting yourself as it was, because you didn't want to get hit or struck again.
Right.
So that was his basic method of instructing you until you could speak enough to understand what it was he was saying. Now, like every karate school, they counted from 1 to 10 in Japanese, which I do also, but I'm here in the States. So all of my students, 100% speak English. So why should I use all these Japanese terms and everything that are meaningless to me? Because you can't converse. If Kise was correcting an Okinawan, he would go into maybe 3, 4, 5 sentences. All right, you're attacking the liver. You're attacking the spine. This is what it does. This is how you attack it. This is when you would attack it. This is how you set him up to deliver this blow. He couldn't do that to me because I couldn't understand 95% of what he was saying. So everything was done by touch, feel, poke, hit, kick, whatever.
Now, when you were saying that Sensei Kise would come by and really demand that your hand be in the correct position for a stated block, for example, would that be because the kata relates to the targets in all aspects, be it a block, a punch, a kick, whatever it may be?
No, that was the basic rudiments. As you know, from white belt or beginner to black belt Shodan, beginning level, you are just being conditioned for advanced training. You're being programmed. You're getting muscle memory. You're getting proper aspects of what happens and such and so forth. So as also you would know, let's take a straight block or an up. Let's use a straight block. That's pretty general. Use a straight block. If you block too wide outside of the body, you can see your whole shoulder is now vulnerable to attack. So the proper block is chin height and just to the outside. A proper block for any of them, be it down, straight, or up, the 3 basic, is such that, let's say your head, a punch is coming at your head, and it just brushes or just comes really close to the head. That's the ultimate, because that is the minimum amount of exertion that you put out to get the maximum result. A miss is a miss. If a guy punches and misses you by 3 foot, or a guy punches and misses you by a 1/4 inch, it's the same. The only difference is if you're doing an up block and you go way above your head, now you're making yourself vulnerable again for the second attack. So therefore, every block has its proper position, its proper distance away from the body, and its proper guidance to stop or prevent a secondary blow.
All right. So, therefore, do you believe that the katas are actually the way to pass on the higher level materials as well?
No, there's absolutely no question. The kata itself is forever.
Right.
If a kata was formed 200 years ago, it should be done exactly the way it was formed 200 years ago as it is today. And the reason is that people truly, most people that I spoke to have no concept of how the katas came about. Somebody didn't just sit down and say, oh, let's make up a kata. Here, let's do it this way. No,
Right.
It's trial and error. And what happened is that through numerous fights and actual altercations, people derived certain methods to deflect a punch coming at your face, or a kick, or a punch, be it at your groin area, or lower stomach area, or mid-chest, or whatever it is. Whatever worked best. If I was walking down the road, and all of a sudden a guy attacks me from the left, and I just, out of instinct and reflex, threw an up block, I would say, man, that worked. All right, so I'm going to write that down. Now I get 10, 15, 20 of these little things that I've written down. How do we pass them on to the next generation and the following generation and the following generation forever? Well, you put them in a pattern. All right, the next thing is, well, that was done with the right side. What happened if it came on the left side? So you know the mechanics of most kata, what you do on one side, you do on the other, thus making you ambidextrous. That covers both sides, front, back, round, whatever. In Matsumoto Seito, we have on my dojo floor, we have a big circle. We have the 8 cardinal directions. All right, north, south, east, west, northwest, southwest, etc., etc. And then we have one of the students or one of the black belts or whatever it is, and you are standing in the center. Now we have them attack you from all 8 cardinal directions with you facing one direction. Let's say you're facing north, but the guy comes in at an oblique angle, 45-degree angle, from your rear. What do? So you have to be able to handle yourself in any given situation. We don't have the option to say, I'm only going to fight little guys or thin guys or big tall guys or fat guys. We don't have that option. You're going to fight whatever comes at you whenever it comes at you. So you learn to cover the full 360-degree circle around your body.
Okay. So when in your experience in your training did the more devastating targets come into play?
After fourth.
After fourth.
After fourth.
Okay. Yeah. And if they didn't call it Kyusho, was there a name for it that they called it?
Yubi-undo is what we were told.
Right. And what does that mean?
Basically, let's see. It's a vague term. Points of attack, attacking points, locations on the body, that type of thing.
Right. Were they then related back into the kata once you had the platform and experience with those katas from white belt?
Absolutely. Now, depending on your rank, depending on your advancement of knowledge. Now, if let's say my particular style, everybody starts as a white belt, you don't have to earn that because that just keeps your gi top closed. All right. So the first rank is really a blue, then a green, then a brown, then your black belt levels. So let's say you're a blue or a green, and a punch is coming at you, and you're taught the basic. All right, you do a single hand block. One hand is chambered at the waist, and there's a purpose for everything. The reason that the hand is chambered at the waist is so that it's a midpoint location of the body. It's neither up or down. So therefore, if your hand is chambered on the rib area and someone kicks, you got half the distance to go down. Or if the punch comes to the face, you got half the distance to go up compared to just having your hand hang down.
Right.
And such and so forth. So as you were trained, now Kise would go, you know, he would hit one of the students or something or me and knock me down, knock my breath out. And he would sort of giggle and laugh and say, this is maybe Mojo or Corte or I don't know, Seiko, whatever the spot is.
Right.
He would sort of laugh and go here and sort of finger jab you in that spot so that you sort of chamber that in the back of your mind. And as you know, once you get hit and it hurts, you remember that spot.
Yeah, I imagine.
That's an automatic way of remembering things, you know.
Right.
So he did not get into the body names, striking on the names until after the fourth. And then you would sit down with the chart, and he would go, okay, ganshi, you know, eyes. This is how you attack suigetsu, mimi, ear, ganshu, just below the heart, you know, et cetera, et cetera. That's
sure. Sure. Now, I know this might be upsetting to you, but are you seeing the proliferation of Kyusho around the world? And if so, what are your opinions on it being taught to everybody in public?
I'm completely disgusted.
Right.
It's giving information to white belts that have not been prepared to get this information. You know, why is it that a student is only allowed to learn a certain amount of information over a certain period of time, given a certain rank? And the reason is that before a master or grandmaster is going to teach you, quote, his secrets or his highest techniques or whatever, you got to earn this trust. You got to prove that you're dedicated to the system. You got to prove that you are dedicated to him, that you're not going to try to overthrow him, that you're not going to leave the school and open your own school and steal his students or anything like that.
Right.
So this is why you're giving information in segments. And then the second reason is that you have to master these techniques and make them become muscle memory. Now, right. you know, in anybody that's been in the martial arts for a long time, that a secondary move is always slower than a primary reflex move. So if something comes at you, now, every human being is born with natural instincts. All right. If you take a kid and you got two kids that are 4 or 5 year old, one shoves one, the other one will try to shove you back. If one throws a stone, he'll pick up a stone and try to throw it back. It's that type of thing. Now, all of that, let's call it hostility, is repressed. Oh, you shouldn't do that. That's bad. You don't do this. So that animal instinct, we'll call it, is pushed way back in the mind. So you have to bring it out. Now, there's two ways to learn how to fight. One, you learn how to fight in a controlled environment, meaning a dojo, school, dojang, whatever they're called, whatever. And the other one is get on the street and get your face punched in.
Right.
That's how you learn how to fight. One of the two. One is controlled, where the damage to you is minimal or none. The other one is you take your injury and you go, that's not happening again. Not letting that happen again.
Right.
So, you know, it's like that.
Okay. Well, you know, as the time went on, were there two different schools of training for non-Okinawans and Okinawans? Or were you all treated the same way?
That came about, when I say no, I say my tenure on Okinawa, the 4 years I was on Okinawa.
Right.
Let me back up a little bit with these charts being put all over the internet and everybody getting them and everything like this. You know, we teach 20 some of the spots on the body are actually killing blows if they're done properly. The other ones are maiming, breaking, spraying, dislocation, and killing. All right. So you've got all this knowledge, and you got white belts and beginners and low ranking belts that are going to try to eye jab people and try to take people's throats out and stuff like it. They shouldn't have that information because they're not conditioned at this point in their body. So all these wannabes, what I call wannabes, these people that want glory and everything else, you know, such as the Dillmans and the Lindsays and that think they are gods and such and so forth, they're hypocrites. All they're doing is looking for praise and looking to be the best guy on the top guy on the post. That doesn't happen. That shouldn't happen. All this information. I started in 1959. I started learning karate from a sailor that was dating my sister. When I went to Okinawa, I learned that ski only knew very basics to little karate. And then when I started training in karate, I found out what real karate was. And I got to meet and see these true grandmasters and true masters. Now, Kise in 1960 was a Yondan. He's a 4th degree. He was building his reputation. He was still getting into fights. We would go to bars and beat up people and stuff like this. So I've seen Kise probably fight 4 or 5 times. And do you think he does anything really flashy and fancy? Hell no. He does a basic pattern that he knows works each and every time for him, and that's what he uses. Kise can probably show you 20, 30 ways to block a straight punch. But I guarantee you, in a real fight, he only uses 1 or 2.
Right.
His little bag of tricks. See, what happens is that your body anatomy comes into play a lot. Let's say that you are teaching me a technique, and I just can't make it work. Well, maybe it's because my body's not good enough for it. It's not, the distance is wrong, or something's wrong. I'm not going to put that in my little bag of tricks. But let's say that the technique you teach me works easy and it's works every time that I do it. Man, I'm taking that technique and put it in my little bag of tricks. That way, if I need it, I can call upon it and it'll be there. But we are taught a variety of techniques for every punch. The basic 8 or 9 for the face, 10 or 12, 15 maybe for the chest, maybe 8 or 9, 10, 11, whatever for the Geichujo levels, down straight up levels of the body and stuff like this. And then as you learn and your ranks get higher, your skill level rises. And what you do is, what I call it is, you take that little trick and you throw it in your bag of trick. And this is what you carry with you. Right. So you're not going to use 15 different things, but you're taught different things because everybody is not the same. Everybody's body anatomy is not the same. Everybody can't take a punch like everybody else. Everybody can't deliver power like everybody else. Some people are not fast. Some people learn fast. Some people learn slow, etc., etc., etc. But this thing of just giving out advanced kata and body anatomy and all this kind of stuff is really, really, really bad.
All right.
Kise was a 4th dan. He was building his reputation. He wasn't building an association. Association was never even in his mind. 1967, Kise completely changed 100 degrees. In other words, we were taught Shorinji karate in the beginning.
Right.
And Kise started injecting Matsumura Sato in our training as we got black belt levels and higher. So why was it Shorinji? Why was Kise so strong? Because Shorinji is based on power and speed.
Right.
Matsumura is based on diversion. In other words, someone punches you in the Shorinji, we block it as hard as we can. We rip his arm off and beat him to death with it.
Right.
Matsumura, no, because we're old. Matsumura Sato is an old man's karate. That's what it's termed on Okinawa, old man's karate. And the reason is you're an old man by the time you can perfect it. So Matsumura, when somebody's punching you, you do a body change. And at the same time, simultaneously, you're attacking a vital point on the body. Or you're attacking the person that's punching you or whatever. Therefore, you're not receiving a blow, you are giving a blow. And you're getting out of the way of what's coming at you. So, when you get older, your speed goes away, your healing slows down tremendously, but your skill and technique rises. And that's what it's about.
Now, the body change you were just mentioning, was it the change of positioning, altitudes, directions, or that nature, or were you going into more of a Sanchin-based body constriction to protect yourself as the blow was coming in?
Well, it's a combination. As I said, it's the Cardinal Direction, 360 degrees. My best explanation to my students is take an old cowboy barroom door. All right, you push it swings open no matter which way you're coming or going, right?
Right.
So let's say you advance that door as fast as you can. It swings away from you.
Right.
So if you try to hit it, it goes away from you. And that's the whole theory. When the punch comes at you, you're spinning on your front foot or your back foot or you're sidestepping. You're going at a 45, you're advancing, whatever. You're not staying like Shorinji is a linear 90-degree forward and backwards based system. So if you come at me, I'll step back and try to divert your blow, whatever it is, and then deliver a power blow onto you. All right? Matsumura, I'm not doing that. As it comes at me, I'm moving the target. I'm getting out of the way. Now, that's twofold positive. One, let's say that the punch is coming at the chest, and instead of me being strong enough to block and deflect that, I move the body. But if I'm a little late and get hit, my body's already in the reflecting mode. It's already turning so that it actually scrapes or bounces off the body so that you don't get a direct penetrative blow coming from the opponent. So that's your basis for the system.
Right. Well, one last question. I really appreciate your time and explanation. Now that Kyusho is out of the bag, per se, what would you like to see going forward? How would you like to see the Kyusho handled or the information handled from here on in?
I think that the information should not be given out until you're high enough in rank to be able to handle the information that you're given. I am very surprised that a lot of people haven't been killed. And, and the reason that they haven't been killed is because these locations are not exactly where they're at or where they're shown on the charts, and that they are small in size. Most people, which really surprises me, is the stupidity of, maybe that's not the term I should use, for the older people that fall into the trap of the Dillmans. And that is that I see George throwing chi balls. Now I can't imagine an adult, male, female, whatever, buying into that bullshit. It's just bullshit. And George is a con man. I've known him since 1965. And George was a Shodan then, where actually he was a brown belt. And then in 1966, George and I went to the June Reeves Nationals at the National Guard Armory in Washington, D.C., and Harry Smith comes up. Harry Smith was George Dillman's instructor.
Right.
Harry comes up and grabs his black belt and yanks on it and says, "Where'd you get this?" And I said, "You gave it to him." He said, "Oh, no. I promoted him to a brown belt." George moved from Pennsylvania to Washington, D.C., well, Maryland, really. And he puts on a black belt and he opens a school. Well, I became his teacher for, I don't know, 9 months, whatever it was. Anyway, when I found out that George was lying and full of shit and he's a con artist, I stopped teaching. I broke away from him. I said, "I don't need this. I don't want that." And it's like everybody says, "Why aren't you a grandmaster?" We can promote you to a grandmaster. We have schools of organizations of grandmasters that will promote you. And what do I want that for? Come train in my system. Learn my system. Why do I want to learn? Hell, I have enough trouble perfecting my own art, which I've been doing for 50-some years, 58 years now. And you want me to learn something else? Now, believe me, I'm not a hypocrite to the point that if you have something good, I won't rob it, take it, and change it into our style. I'll do that.
Right.
Am I going to go and learn Okinawa Kempo or Isshin-Ryu or something else? Jeez, you know, like I said, it takes a lifetime to perfect your art.
Sure.
How can you go to 5 or 6 different teachers? And you know, I hear these people, I made up my own system. I took the best of this system and the best of that, and I got the best from this, and I trained under this grandmaster and that. Horse feathers. That's just bull. You know, first off, if Soken was still alive and you went and met Soken and he had never met you before, and you say, I want you to teach me your secrets. That's never going to happen. It's just, he's going to take your check. I've had students of mine that I threw out of my school that went to Okinawa, got promoted to a 6th degree by doing a spinning back kick.
Great.
Okay? Now, that and a check, writing a check. The Okinawans don't care because they don't know you from me. So they're going to take your money, give you a certificate, which means nothing to them, and you're strutting around like a king rooster. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. I'm a 7th degree. I became a 7th degree by Soken and Fusei Kise in 1977, and I'll probably die a 7th degree. I don't care because my belt doesn't do the fighting. If I fight, I don't take my belt off and say, "Get him." You know, it doesn't happen.
That's too bad, huh? Yeah. Well, there's one good saving grace. Most people have bought into the Dillman theory of the pressure points of acupressure and acupuncture, and they're off chasing these as opposed to looking at the deeper structure, and they're not finding it. It's not working out well for them, and the learning curve for them is extremely difficult. So it still remains, the real Kyusho is still remaining mostly hidden from the people because of this false paradigm. So there's one saving grace to all of this happening. So again, I thank you for your information. It's been an awesome time just listening to you go through your the history, and I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'd like to end it with this one thing. I hear everybody saying, pressure point, pressure point, pressure point. Dillman teaching pressure point. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
What is pressure points? The purpose of pressure points through any medical explanation is to stop the flow of blood. And how is that done? By applying pressure. I don't teach pressure points. I teach nerve center. Blows. I attack the nerves and nerve centers. I don't grab you and try to hold the artery shut until you black out or whatever. So this thing of pressure points is a misnomer. It's a joke. what he's attacking when he is attacking, just like his knockouts to the side of the neck, that's a carotid artery. He hits you, the blood rushes to the brain in a shock, and you fall down and you're all dizzy and everything else. And, you know, I just can't understand why people can. There's a lot of good karate people here in the States. A lot of good ones.
Sure.
But I can't understand why these people get sucked in. I just don't do it. Anyway, I'm helping. I'm happy that we had this conversation. I don't know whether it helps you or not. If it does, great. If not, well, that's my opinions on things, you know. All I can do is tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, the truth is what we're looking for. There has been so much bullshit, like you said, throughout the whole martial art world, okay? From Okinawa, Japan, USA, and beyond, it's all been propagated throughout the years. And getting to the real truth and finding people that have studied under real masters and can share their stories of those real trainings, that's invaluable in today's society. And again, I appreciate it. If there's anything else I could do to help you in your mission, or if you're open to other conversations later on, I'd welcome it.
I'm open to conversation. I have a lot of people call me, email me, and talk. Hell, I'll talk to anybody. I don't care whether they like me, dislike me. I'm going to tell you the truth as I know it, and that's it. You know, true karate is dying. It's become a sport. It's a money-making machine. So therefore, all of these scammers and everything come out of the woodwork. It's like anything. If you got a product that sells, there's going to be people to try to copy it and make it cheaper and whatever and capitalize on it. Well, that's what people have done. Right now, hell, there's more Grand Masters than there are white belts. Yeah. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, I don't know how it is in the rest of the world. I don't care. I only care about my system and my particular training, because I feel like I'm 50, 60, 70% into my training. I have a long way to go.
Right.
And I keep working on my stuff and perfecting mine. But, you know, there was only one Grand Master per system. That's what I was taught. How can there be Grand Masters promoting their students to Grand Masters? And I don't know. But I don't care. You know, I see more 300-pound Grand Masters than I do white belts. You know, sad.
Yeah, it's amazing. That brought up one more question, and I'm sorry to keep you on the time, but what do you think the karate in the Olympics is going to do? Do you think that'll do any good for the real karate, or do you think it'll take us even further away from it?
Well, right now, karate in the Olympics is a complete joke. There's no wonder people look at it and go, "Oh man, what a clown!" First off, it's restricted to Koreans, all right? And they look like, God, you know, 90% of them. I mean, I can't even watch them. I watch one or two and I go, Jesus Christ, I'm not doing this, because I would do 1,000 things other than that. It's like MAA, all right? MAA is probably 10 times better than what's in the Olympics. And the reason is that it's physical. People are trying to actually hit people and everything. But MAA is the same thing. You can't eye gouge. You can't attack the throat. You can't catch him by the testicles and rip it off. You know, I mean, you can't bite him. You know, all this other stuff, all these rules. But yet they say, oh, you can do anything. It's wide open. You can do. No, because there's laws and rules in it. That takes it away from the street. The actual street fight. Look, in the time will come when I'll be too old, but if I get into a fight and the only way I can beat you is to jump in my car and run over you, that's exactly what I'm going to do. You know, if I got a gun, I'm not going to fight you empty-handed. I'm going to pull my gun out. I'm too old. This thing of the Bruce Lee jumping around and yelling and carrying on. No, let's get real. You know, I'm here to hurt you as fast and as quickly and as easy as I can, so I can go on down the street and have a cup of coffee or something. That's it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm not going to play games. I have friends that here in Washington, D.C., his son, who was a pretty strong tournament fighter, got into a fight with 3 or 4 other blacks, and he knocked him down. And instead of knocking him out or staying on him or whatever, he backed away and jumped up and down like he was bouncing on something. And the guy pulled a gun out and killed him. So, you know, I mean, that's a sad, sad thing where you have the skill, but you don't use it. And now I'm not saying you destroy everybody you fight. I've knocked a lot of people down. And if they don't try to get up when I tell them don't get up, then that's the end of the fight. If they get up and try to come at me, I'm just going to beat you till you stay down. It's that simple.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely. Well, sir, thank you again for your candor and your willingness to share with the people that are going to listen to this interview. I'll send you the video via Dropbox.
Good.
And so you have a copy of it, and I'll be putting it on my YouTube within a month.
Wonderful.
Super, super. Again, thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Have a good evening.
You too. Take care.
Bye now.